right, everyone. Welcome to homecoming and MAC opener press conference as we welcome in Eastern Michigan this Saturday at 3:30. We've got head coach Kenni Burns here to give us some updates on the team and a preview of what's to come on Saturday. Coach, would you like to start us with an opening statement, please?
Yeah, just got off the practice field. A really good day of practice. Getting a lot of guys, a lot of work. Looking forward to playing Eastern Michigan this weekend. Learned a lot from the Penn State game. A lot of things to clean up. A lot of schematical things that we can do better as coaches, and then some stuff we can do better as players as well. But I think everything's about gradual growth right now for our football team and giving us the best opportunity to compete in our league. The great thing about it is I think the MAC is the MAC. I think you saw it this weekend. Throw records out the window. I don't think it matters. I think the teams are very equal in talent. And I think a lot of it comes down to coaching, who can coach the X's and O's better and put their pieces in place to make plays. And that's what I've challenged our coaches to do. And we'll see what we can do this weekend against Eastern Michigan. With that being said, I'll open up for questions.
Coach, first and foremost, want to give us an update on some of the health of our players. I know that was front of mind for a lot of the fans and media coming out of Saturday.
Sure, and we appreciate the support. A lot of nice notes to Dev and some of the other guys. Dev will be out for the season. Had a hip injury, got it fixed, and he's fixed and ready to start the rehabilitation process. He had surgery yesterday in Hershey. I was there with him and his family, doing well in great spirits. Hope to get him back in Kent here shortly. J.D. Sherrod will be out for the season as well with an Achilles injury. He'll be a guy rehabbing as well. Excited to get him healthy and back around the team as well. But two really good players that we won't have for the rest of the season. But it's a great opportunity for someone else to step in and fill the role of a quarterback for us. And a couple injuries here and there that we've got to get healthy. But those were the two probably major ones that people are concerned about.
With that, we'll turn it into our virtual room and open things up with Dane Richardson. Dane, if you'd unmute and ask your questions for Coach.
Yeah, Coach, I know, Tommy, you should be your starter this upcoming weekend. Can you tell us a little bit about the backup situation after that? I think we saw Tomlinson was the backup. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Yeah, Royal Tomlinson will be the backup. He's a Glenville kid who's very, very talented, just young, but he got a lot of reps today. I was impressed what he did at practice today. He'll go in the game as the backup, and it's kind of a crash course educationally on what we have to do. But a couple of our coaches have been in this situation before, losing two quarterbacks, so we're going to weigh on their experience to help us navigate this. But he's an athletic kid, very, very athletic, and a guy that could sling the ball around. It's more getting the terminology and understanding the little things that come with being quarterback at this level that he's got to clean up. But Tommy's our starter. Tommy's healthy. We kept Tommy out a couple weeks to make sure he was healthy. By the time we got to conference play, and he looked good today, and we just got to keep him upright and make sure he can have the time and the ability to do what he does.
Mm-hmm. Coach, you said tackling was obviously a big focus going into practice last week. What's the biggest focus for you this week, knowing that the talent level is now much more on an even playing field?
Yeah, I think it's still the same stuff. Fundamental football, we got to be a better fundamental football team. I think that Penn State created some talent issues where, just being honest, they had a little bit more talent in certain positions than we did. Now it's going to be back to the basics, and that's kind of what the theme of the week is back to the basics, making sure we're taking the proper first step, making sure we're protecting the ball, making sure our hands are inside when we're blocking, making sure we're taking the proper tackling angles. All the details that you need to win in the MAC. So that's kind of the emphasis moving forward, but starting this week.
Mm-hmm. And defensively, I know Eastern Michigan, they're a team that's 3-1 so far. You forced a turnover early in the game last week. Is it that defense that you feel like needs to set the tone for you guys on Saturday?
I think a football team, we've got to set the tone better. Whoever's on the field first has got to set the tone of starting fast, accelerating in the middle, and finishing strong. The thing I love about Coach Creighton's teams is they're always so complementary. You look at it, their offense plays sound, their defense plays sound, the special teams brings it all together by creating field position. And I think that's the thing he's kind of mastered over there, and that's been a big part of his success. And that's something that we're chasing here, is playing complementary football, because that lasts for a long time once you get it figured out. No matter what resources you have or anything like that, when you're playing for each other and understanding why you're doing what you're doing in situational football, gives you the best chance to win. And they've done a great job of that. You see their special teams, I think, blocked 2 kicks already. I think the punt return team blocked 2 kicks already. I think they've returned a kick. They've gotten a 96-yard touchdown from their defense. last week to start the game off. So again, they just play really well together, and we've got to beat them at their own game this week by playing well together and really using all of our pieces.
Mm-hmm. My last question that I have for you, Coach. Obviously, Tommy Yu, we know he's more of a runner. He's been dealing with it, recovering from a hand thing, but he's healthy now and your starter. How confident are you in his arm, and how much do you try and plan to stretch the field? Because I know Krishan is almost, you feel like he's due for a big game.
Yeah, and we challenged Krishan to have a really big week of practice. He can play better. He's not played bad by any means, but he can play better than what he's playing. He can be more impactful. And I have total confidence. And I want to make this really clear because I think sometimes my words get mixed here, but I got confident in all of our quarterbacks' arms. If it's J.D. Sherrod, if it's Tommy, if it's Dev, like all these guys have strong arms. They wouldn't be playing Division I football, and Tommy's no different. Now, what their weapon is and what their strength is might be their feet, and I would say that's what Tommy's is, and that's what JD's is. But they all have strong arms and capable arms, and we don't like limit our playbook because of their arms. We just build our plays based on what we think is their strengths, and so forth. So that'll be no different this week with Tommy. If they give us throws, we'll take the throws they give us. If they give us runs, we'll take the runs that we can too. So we're going to take what the defense gives us. We're going to do a better job of it.
Thank you, Coach.
Let's keep things going with Rob Politsky. Rob, if you'll unmute and ask your questions for Coach.
Thanks, Dan. Coach, I apologize if I missed this in your opening statement, but can you talk about the defense in the first half Saturday at Penn State? I thought, they really gave you a good effort for most of that first half. What did you think of your effort in the first half defensively, and what changed as the game wore on?
I think we wore down a little bit. I think they caught us in a couple schemes, and it's always a challenge. I think when you got a talent gap between a top 10 team, obviously, and your team, and there's guys there that they have a lot of pieces that you got to defend as a coordinator. So you're robbing Peter to pay Paul a little bit there, and I think they figured that out as the game was going on and exposed a couple things. But we got to do a better job of taking advantage of field position. We talk about complementary football again. Our defense got the offense the ball inside the 50 twice, I believe, or 40 to 40 twice. And we didn't capitalize with points there, and we have to get points there in order to make it worthwhile for our defense. So I thought our defense battled better. I thought we put them in better situations, but still the nemesis is third down. I think they were 8 for 10 on third down, which we can't have that. We won't win many games if we can't get off the field, and we spend a lot of time on that situation. So we got to do a lot better job of handling situational football. I thought we tackled it better. I thought we got 11 hats to the ball more. But still not enough. But we're a long ways away from where we need to be to not just compete in the MAC, but win a MAC championship. And I told these guys that we've got to shorten that gap sooner than later, and that's going to happen between discipline. And I think on defense, it is a very talented group, and they just need to play more disciplined, more sound, and more together. And we got to coach that to make sure it's getting done.
When the offense struggles at times like it has the last few weeks, obviously your opponent has a lot to do with it, but do you think that puts more pressure on the defense, and do they try to do things maybe that they wouldn't do in a normal situation?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of that question.
Just wondering if the defense might feel extra pressure when the offense struggles, and how do you get them not to feel that way or to change what they're doing?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think we did for sure. I think that was a problem the first game a little bit, that the guys were trying to make plays instead of doing their job. And I think that leaked into St. Francis a little bit, where a couple things squirted out and had some big plays in the first half because, again, guys were trying to do too much and not just do their job. And I think we cleaned some stuff up last week with our guys from that standpoint. And I think hopefully as we get into conference play, they've seen how when you don't just do your job, how it can affect the whole defense and fits in the run game and also some coverage stuff. So hopefully we clean that stuff up. We'll see on Saturday, but it's a constant learning thing. We talk about we've got to become just students of the game again and just keep learning as football players. I used to believe that you get your best between game 1 and game 2. As I sit in this chair more, I think that the players control when you make the biggest jump. When they decide to buy into everything that you're doing and then take it and make it their own. And I think that's where we're in that transition right now, and hopefully we can make that show on Saturday against Eastern Michigan.
Just wondering your thoughts now that you're entering conference play. I know non-conference was really tough this year. So just the confidence of the team and the excitement of just putting that behind you. Not that there's a reset button, but an opportunity now to move into conference play for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's what we are always training for. We've studied all our conference opponents. We know them. We know what they want to do. We studied them this offseason. We played against most of them already. So it's a lot of familiarity. It's a lot of these guys from this upper Midwest area that these guys know, that some of them went to school with. Some of them know from 7-on-7. So it's just a lot of familiarity, which cranks up the competitive drive a little bit, which is exciting for us. We talked about on Sunday that it's not a new season. We don't want to forget about what's happened already up to this point, because there's a lot of good lessons in those games that we've got to learn from to help create this future that we want. So it's a reset for sure, but it's embracing what we've done to help us create the future that we want. So that's what we spent most of Sunday talking about, and rewatching some stuff from the first 4 games and just making sure that we don't make the same mistakes that we've been making up to this point. And then the other thing is you're going to see a lot of new faces. I think with football and injuries, there becomes opportunities. And you're going to see some guys that we've kind of been waiting to play until conference play, some younger guys, to see what they can do. And then also some of our guys that are having to fill in for a couple guys that have been injured.
Thank you, Coach.
Rob, any other questions for Coach?
I'm good. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Let's kick things over to the man on the other side of the booth, and Tom Evans. Tom, any questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, we saw maybe a little more shuffling on the offensive line last week. Tank didn't travel. Where are you at offensive line-wise? Are you still searching for that combination?
I think we are, but we also have some injuries that have occurred up front. So some guys are not playing not because of our choice, because of the medical situation there. So again, yeah, we're still looking for a 5 that can work cohesively together. Like I said, it's been a little bit of a shuffle because there's been some injuries here and there. Take's battling a little bit of an ankle, so he'll miss a couple weeks here. But we've got capable bodies there. They got to just play better, and we got to coach better. And I always say that because it starts with the coaching. We have to coach them better. Now, I always believe that a team is showing you what they can do throughout a year. You might go into the season thinking you're going to be this way, and you're gonna do this, and then the team shows you as you get through games. You get data, and the data shows you what your team's capable of doing and what they're not capable of doing. Now, as coaches, we've got data. So maybe we thought a guy was going to be a really good player this year, and for some reason he's not playing up to his potential right now. Well, there's data there now. Now, how are you going to adjust and move your pieces to make it all work? And I think that's what I'm challenging our coaches to do, keep challenging our players to make sure they understand why we're moving pieces around and making sure they're playing up to their best ability. But I think that's what you're seeing up front right now, moving the pieces, some because of injury, but then some because of we're not getting the performance that we thought we were going to get.
And, the rotation's been pretty solid in that defensive front 7. And it really seems like Cam Olds has been a great add for us. Can you talk a little bit about that front 7 and what they're going to need to do this Saturday to bring a victory for Eastern Michigan?
Yeah, I've challenged our front 7. They got to just be more impactful. They're really good. I truly believe that, and I think every coach we played at this point talks about our front 7 and how talented they are, and we've got to play up to that talent. Every once in a while, they get a little antsy and want to make a play and get out of their gaps, and they haven't done much of that. But it's showing up here and there, and the ball spit out. So they got to just keep learning to do their jobs, and when the ball is forced to them, make the play. And I think they're understanding that. I think they had a phenomenal practice today. The D-line played their butts off today, which was good. They had a good energy about them. And again, there's a lot of experience up front. And Cam Olds, I think he's a really special player. I think you're seeing a little bit of him get singled up and protection as they slide to Stephen Daly on the other side. It frees up Cam a little bit, and he's been able to take advantage of it. You put a one-on-one with the tackle and protection, we're expecting for him to win. And we moved him with some twists and some stunts to free him up and get him on guards as well. So he's a special rusher, and we got a couple of them between him, Matt Harmon, and Stephen Daly. So our job as coaches is to find ways to single them up and let them do what they do.
Coach, last year up at Eastern Michigan, it felt like when we walked out of the stadium, like this was one that we were 1 or maybe 2 plays away from getting one last year. Do you talk to the team about that at all, or do you just put that behind you and focus on what you got in front of you?
No, we put it behind us. We're going to learn from the schematical part, and I'll learn from the situational stuff that we did last year on how I want to manage the game. But it's a new team, a new game. This Eastern Michigan team is very good. They're 3-1. There's a lot of new faces on that team, guys we maybe played, but they're on a different team now, playing for them. But for us, it's a new game, and we've got to come and we got to execute. And like I just said, our team is constantly changing, and they're showing us who they are. I think this is a very different team than last year's football team, and we got to play to our strengths.
One last question, Coach. I know that you rotated about 4 different running backs last week. Are you going to keep that rotation wide, or are you going to narrow that down a little bit?
We're keeping pretty wide. That's another room that's been a little bit banged up. I think between quarterback and running back, it's been one that's taken probably the most wear and tear of these first 3 games. So we've got to keep moving bodies in there. And I always say you need a pair and a spare and some air at running back because guys are going to go down. And we lost Gavin obviously early in the season. Kai's been battling through an ankle for quite a bit of time here now, so it's finally starting to look like he's back. And I kind of set him the last 2 games and played him sparingly to get him back. So he'll be full go this week. And then we got some other young backs who I was actually pretty impressed with in that game, how they handled it and how they were able to move the chains a little bit. So we're going to keep rolling guys there, trying to keep our backfield fresh, and the same thing at receiver. Do the same thing, rotate some guys. So. I think we've got to get healthy. I think getting through this game and giving our best shot against Eastern Michigan, and then you got a bye week, and then hopefully you get some guys back for that Ball State game. Some guys in our secondary for sure, and then some guys at that running back position as well.
Thanks, Coach.
And we'll wrap things up by heading over to the Hustle Belt and Steve Elwick. Steve, any questions for Coach?
Hi, Coach. Earlier in the season, week 1, it seemed like you had a good verticality in the offense. Do you feel comfortable returning to that with Tommy at quarterback?
You talking about vertical pass game, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Yeah. We do. It's not like we haven't not like we've changed anything from that game. I think it's just what teams are giving us now, and I think the last 2 teams, and Pitt's an outstanding football team, don't get me wrong, they're 4-0, I believe. But the last 2 teams have been in my opinion, top 5, top 10 teams. So they've done some stuff where they've created a little bit of matchup issues, and we've got to do a better job of creating space as coaches for our players. But hopefully getting in the league play here, we can do some more things where the talent's pretty similar to ours. We can do some things and take more shots down the field and so forth. So, last week I know people are looking at the yardage and thinking whatever. We lost 2 quarterbacks, so my whole thought process was to get out the game with a healthy quarterback. And so I wasn't going to sit back there and drop back and throw the ball down the field 50 times and get a chance of Tommy getting hit against a really good defensive line and a really good front who specializes in rushing the passer. So that was my choice there. But I know that Tommy's more than capable of pushing the ball down the field, and we've just got to create space for our receivers and concepts that can get them open down the field.
And throughout the whole offseason, you were talking about Rocco Nichols' development. What have you seen with this materializing with him as your leading tackler so far this year?
It's what I thought this offseason. He had 14 tackles the other day, and he probably should have had about 18. He missed a couple, but he's talented. He's playing at a pretty high level. He's got to keep getting better. He's still nowhere near his full potential, but I'm starting to see more and more of the guy I saw this spring. A guy that's starting to get some confidence. Some swagger back. We got to do a better job of maybe getting him off a couple special teams. I think he's playing way too much. At times we look at his repetition after games, and eventually anybody's going to wear down. So I've been impressed with Rocco. I love the way he approaches the game. He's a young player who's got a ton of upside, a ton of ability, and a really, really bright future.
And the last thing I had, do you have any updates on some of the defensive absences that there have been with Alex and Nick?
Yeah, I think you can expect Alex to play this week for sure. He's battling a little bit of a shoulder injury, but I think he's full go. I think you should be expecting Nick to be back any moment here as well, to help our linebacker room. But yeah, we've got some key parts that have been out, and I think that's been a little bit of our struggle on defense is some missing pieces here and there. Ex Coakley's been out for a while, really good corner. He was projected to start this year. So getting these guys back, hopefully sooner than later is the goal.
Coach, one last thing. Just talk about the opportunity to play in front of the home crowd again, especially it's going to be homecoming, a lot of alumni coming back. Just the opportunity of getting back in front of the friendly confines and the Flash faithful.
Yeah, we need you. Obviously, and it's homecoming, and our guys love playing here. It's a blackout, I believe. So we'll be in our black jerseys and black. So it should be a fun environment for our fans. And I think the opening up conference play will bring a different juice and energy from our football team. And hopefully our fans have the same one. But, college football is built on atmosphere. It really is. And that was the cool thing about playing at Tennessee, at Pitt, and at Penn State. You saw a unique atmosphere that was special. And I know we're attempting to create that here. We've got the community and the student body that wants that, and we've got to put some good football on the field to get you excited and then get this thing really going.
Coach, any other final thoughts as we get ready for Saturday?
Nope. Looking forward to playing back in Dick Stadium and getting our guys back here in conference play. Go Flashes and kick grip. Thanks.